all the fans, or I'd say lack thereof of all the fans in Stadium 2 while Rybakina was playing. As you can see from videos and pictures, if we were to say that there are hundreds of people watching this match, that would be a stretch.
Fergus, he cannot play Rafa anymore, but if he would make like 10 times time violation to Rafa, because like you need to have some common sense sometimes.
And seeing the Brazilian fans, I mean, that's what you kind of want, you know. You want that new atmosphere. Same for Eala, having all the Philippine fans from coming, you know, to support her.
The tournament director, Tommy Haas, is suddenly dealing with a sharp drop in ticket sales after rising star Alex Eala was eliminated from the event. That unexpected exit has organizers scrambling, trying to figure out how to pull the crowds back into those seats. But hold up, this situation is getting even more dramatic. Haas has even taken a swipe at the Women's Tennis Association, suggesting they failed to fully take advantage of Eala's exploding popularity. So let's slow this down and unpack what's really happening and why Alex Eala's sudden rise has completely shaken up the Indian Wells Open. Alex Eala, the breakout sensation from the Philippines, delivered a stunning debut during the 2026 tournament. Her opening match came against Diana Yastremska, and listen, this wasn't just another early round match on the schedule. It quickly turned into one of the most talked about moments of the tournament. You might think the hype sounds exaggerated, but the numbers proved otherwise. The demand to watch Eala compete was so intense that ticket prices surged to levels people rarely see at early round matches. In fact, that single showdown reportedly generated around $5 million in ticket sales alone for Indian Wells.
Single-day attendance record of more than 58,000 fans on the first Friday.
But listen, this story isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about the atmosphere, the buzz in the air, and the pure passion from fans who showed up just to watch Alex Eala step onto the court. More than 58,000 spectators poured into Indian Wells Tennis Garden to see the young Filipino star compete. The energy inside the stadium was electric, and you could feel that people believed they were watching the start of something special. Naturally, tournament director Tommy Haas was thrilled by the moment. For a historic event like the Indian Wells Open, which already carries massive prestige in the tennis world, that level of excitement was huge. But hold up, because this is where the story suddenly flips. Almost as quickly as Alex Eala captured the attention of the tennis world, her run in the tournament came to an end, and what happened afterward caught a lot of people off guard. Ticket sales reportedly started falling fast. The same stadium sections that were packed wall to wall during Eala's match suddenly looked noticeably empty. The crowd that had filled the stands to support Alex Eala seemed to vanish almost overnight. It was like the spark that energized the whole tournament faded, and you could almost feel the momentum draining from the event.
All the fans, or I'd say lack thereof of all the fans in Stadium 2 while Rybakina was playing. As you can see from videos and pictures, if we were to say that there are hundreds of people watching this match, that would be a stretch.
After riding the wave of that huge moment, Tommy Haas suddenly found himself in a completely different situation. As the crowds began thinning out, the director of Indian Wells Tennis Garden reportedly started scrambling to figure out how to bring fans back into those seats. And listen to this, his plan has people talking. In an effort to stop the momentum from collapsing, Haas has reportedly been trying to organize 1 or 2 exhibition matches featuring none other than Alex Eala herself. Yes, you heard that right. The idea is to get Eala back on the court, even if it's outside the official draw, simply to reignite fan interest. Reports even suggest Haas explored the possibility of having her appear in an exhibition before the Miami Open, just to boost attention and ticket demand again. But hold up, because the reaction from the broader tennis world has been just as fascinating. It's obvious now that Alex Eala's rise has been incredibly fast, though it hasn't always come without controversy. Earlier this year, during the Australian Open, when Eala qualified to compete, the Women's Tennis Association placed her matches on smaller courts instead of the main stadium. Because of that decision, huge crowds ended up forming outside the smaller venues. Thousands of fans waited in long lines hoping for just a chance to see their favorite rising star in person. To many observers, it looked like the WTA underestimated or even downplayed just how big Eala's popularity had become. But instead of cooling down the excitement, that move only made the buzz around her even stronger. The demand to watch Alex Eala kept growing, and the hype only intensified. Now, to be fair, Eala's momentum isn't built on hype alone. A lot of it comes down to the skill and work ethic she's shown on the court. When a legend like Novak Djokovic publicly praises a young player, people in the tennis world pay attention. Djokovic has even said that watching Eala on television is impressive, but seeing her compete live is on another level. And coming from someone who has faced the best players across multiple eras, that kind of compliment means a lot. Words from Novak Djokovic carry serious weight in professional tennis, and he sees something genuinely special in the way Alex Eala performs on the court.
Yeah, that's been a talk, and which is understandable. You know, there's some players coming from respective countries, like she's coming from Philippines, which is now a big deal. You know, she's been the biggest ever, tennis player from that country, which is a big country, and there's a big interest.
But even with all the praise and spotlight surrounding her, there's still a noticeable tension building behind the scenes. The relationship between the Women's Tennis Association and the organizers of the Indian Wells Open has reportedly become strained. At this point, Tommy Haas isn't just worried about declining ticket numbers anymore. He's now openly voicing frustration about how the WTA handled the sudden rise of Alex Eala. According to Haas, the organization may have missed a massive opportunity to fully embrace the incredible demand for Eala's matches. Instead of putting her front and center on the biggest stage, he believes the WTA downplayed just how popular she had become. And in his view, that decision may have ended up hurting the overall momentum of the tournament. But he's definitely not the only one speaking out about it. A lot of fans and even players within the tennis world have been showing strong support for Alex Eala. One of the most vocal supporters has been former world #1 Maria Sharapova. She's pointed out that Eala's breakthrough moment is about more than just winning matches. According to Sharapova, her rise represents something bigger for representation in the sport. For decades, the highest levels of professional tennis have largely been dominated by athletes from Europe and North America. And even though the sport has expanded worldwide over the years, seeing Asian players reach the very top of women's tennis has still been relatively rare.
Victories are so special, but if you treat them too high, and you treat the tough moments as a really big low in your career, it's hard to find that happy medium, and I think that's what that sweet spot.
Alex Eala is rewriting that narrative and inspiring millions of people who never truly felt represented in professional tennis before. She's bringing a completely new wave of excitement and passion to the sport, and fans across Asia are rallying behind her in a big way. Sharapova's message highlights how important diversity and representation are in global sports, and how Eala's rise is helping break barriers that have existed for decades. But hold up, let's bring it back to what's happening right now at the Indian Wells Open. Tournament director Tommy Haas is reportedly in full damage control mode. With seats sitting empty and ticket revenue slipping fast, he's now looking at what might be a last-ditch move to turn things around. The plan? An exhibition match featuring Alex Eala. Haas is hoping that putting Eala back on the court, even if it's just an exhibition, will pull fans back into the stadium. The goal is to create a moment, a spectacle that reignites the buzz and fills the venue again before the women's final takes place. And honestly, if you think about it, that strategy isn't completely crazy. Alex Eala has already proven she can attract massive crowds wherever she plays. Put her back under those lights and the energy inside Indian Wells Tennis Garden could instantly flip again. Haas clearly understands that the Eala effect is real, and he's trying to make the most of it before the moment slips away. But at the same time, his frustration with the Women's Tennis Association is becoming harder to hide. From his perspective, the organization hasn't done nearly enough to support or promote Eala as her popularity keeps growing. When you step back and look at the whole situation at Indian Wells, it's actually pretty fascinating. Tommy Haas is pulling every lever he can think of to bring the crowds back. Meanwhile, the tension with the WTA continues to simmer in the background. One thing nobody seems to question, though, is the star power of Alex Eala and the connection she already has with fans. The real question now is whether the WTA will fully embrace her rise or keep treating it cautiously. Either way, one thing is clear. This is only the beginning of the Alex Eala story, and if the momentum continues like this, she could end up reshaping the future of women's tennis.